Mr. Chairman, and Deputy Secretary Sherman, I want to talk a little bit about the pre-invasion deterrence posture of NATO and the United States. I do believe that the retreat from Afghanistan signaled an unwillingness on the part of the United States to stand by our allies, which was an invitation to aggression. I believe that a failure to adequately respond to the colonial pipeline hack also projected weakness. I do not believe that giving Putin everything he wanted in a New START treaty and not demanding a real negotiation signaled weakness to Putin. But I want to focus on the decision of the administration, which is a real head-scratcher to many of us, to waive the sanctions on Nord Stream 2, mandatory congressional sanctions enacted in December 2019, sanctions that stopped all deep-sea pipe laying, and yet despite that, and despite the effectiveness of halting the construction of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, please explain to us specifically, how was it in America's, quote, national interest to allow the Russian malign influence project Nord Stream 2 to move forward, especially when the pipeline would only further enrich Putin and give him more leverage over our European allies?
Congressman, I think we have seen why this was an effective approach. We said at the time that we opposed the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. I would note that the prior administration never put sanctions on until the last year of the administration, when the pipeline was 95% finished. Let me finish, if I may. But to your point, we said at the time that we did the waivers on Nord Stream 2, that we opposed the pipeline, that we also were weighing it against our strong relationship with Germany, that we wanted to keep the leverage of NS2 in German hands, and we have seen the positive result of those tactical moves in the decision made by the Chancellor to, in fact, kill Nord Stream 2.
I'm going to reclaim my time. I think it is telling that it took Germany to reimpose sanctions before even the United States did. I find it interesting that the Germans are leading on this, not the United States. But let me go back. And I was the author of the bill that ended up in the NDAA, and I know what happened with the Trump administration, and the fact that we had the authorization halted construction. And the fact is that because we authorized those sanctions, the construction was halted in December of 2019. All deep sea pipeline was finished. But the fact that it was 95% completed is immaterial. It wasn't happening. It wasn't operational. It had stopped. But the construction resumed on January 24th, 2021, 4 days after President Biden took office. I believe, with all respect, that the decision to waive sanctions without any reciprocal commitments from Putin was a signal to Moscow that Ukraine was fair game. Weakness invites aggression. It's about Afghanistan. It's about a non-response to the colonial pipeline hack. It's about waiving sanctions on Nord Stream 2. It projected weakness. And now we are where we are. So my question to you is, what are we going to do about this massive loophole in the sanctions that we have imposed on Russian banks? What are we going to do about the general license that OFAC has granted in these sanctions, which the administration likes to pat itself on the back, saying that these are devastating, crushing sanctions? Really? When we are continuing to import 600,000 barrels of Russian oil because we have a general license, a huge energy loophole in these sanctions on Russian banks, and we continue to fill up the hard currency reserves of Putin to finance this war effort. When is the administration going to get really tough on sanctions?
Congressman, I respectfully disagree both with your description of history and with where we are today. The ruble is down 30%. The stock market is closed. The foreign reserves are being depleted. These sanctions have had a real and true impact. And
My time is
Gentleman's time has expired.
They're depleted.
The gentleman's
but we're
time has
filling it
expired.
up.
I now
I yield.
recognize